Hello, Captains. Your host, the Doctor, here, and welcome to some new Star Trek Online news. Something new I want to show you in-game. Now, this was completely unexpected for me. I did not see it coming, but yet here it is, and I'm going to take a look at it today. This is the StarTrekOnline.com news page that you're looking at. We're going to go over this new thing they've got, redesigning the character creator. That's right, they have gone through and updated the UI and the character creator. I'm going to read this news piece here, and then I'm going to go in-game and take a look at it for the first time. And so if you want to skip through me reading this news page here, you can skip right through to where I go in the game and take a look at it. But otherwise, let's check out what the news piece says here first, and then we'll go in-game. Says, hey there, my name is Joe, and I'm the UI designer on Stowe. Hey, that rhymes. To say I am passionate about this update is a bit of an understatement. My first goal upon joining the team was to address the character creator UI, and when they said I could work on it, I literally jumped up and danced. I am ecstatic that my first post gets to be about something I care maybe too much about, player experience and Space Barbie. Okay, that was two things I care greatly about. The character creator is one of those features you see in games that started out simple and worked out fine when it was made, but as new factions and species are added to the game, it quickly got bloated and overwhelming. My first goal was to clean up the UI and cut down on the visual clutter. We used to just throw every option at you all at once on one page. When I built my first character, I was so excited to see all the options, and the LCARs were so immersive, but I was so overwhelmed that I had to walk away and come back to it later. We wanted to take away that overwhelming feeling while still giving you access to all the options you wanted. With the revamped UI, my goal was to keep as much of the spirit of the original UI alive, while also making it really clear and easy to select your options and get into the game fast. Almost all of the old options are still there if you want them, but it doesn't feel like you have to solve a puzzle just to get into the game. That said, there are a few features you won't find in the new character creator, such as the save outfit and load outfit features. These still exist in the Tailor UI, which hasn't changed at all once you get in game. We also snuck in a lot of tiny quality of life fixes, such as letting you change your gender on the appearance page, or giving you a default ship name. Don't worry, if you forget to name your ship something truly unique, you can always change it later in-game. There are several other features that I'm still exploring for the new character creator, and I am hoping this will just be the first of many polish passes for older UI systems in the game. They say a good UI is one that no one comments on, but I'm hoping he will take just a few minutes to take a look at the new character creator, check out the new UI, and let us know what you think. And by the way, everyone is getting a free character slot, so you can try the new creator out if you want. Absolutely love that idea that they're giving us a free character slot, by the way. That's very nice of them to do. Always welcomed when they give us, new things like that. All right, so a complete redesign of the character creator. I'm excited to see what this is all about. I was looking at the screenshot so I can kind of see where they're going here. Choose your faction. Quite simple. These are the factions now in the game. The one thing that I hope to see, however, is a description to let us know which ones are shorter factions than others, because they're not all created equal. We know that because we've been playing the game for years. But new people playing the game don't know that, for example, the Dominion faction starts you out at near in-game, unless it tells us here. So I'm going to go through and look at all that. And then this screenshot here is interesting. Presets, head, body, uniform. And you get to change your gender, hair coloring, advanced. So that looks, cleaned up. That clutter they were talking about, getting rid of that clutter. But it still has that LCARS feel to it. And I hope it remains that way. I'm not too sure about these fonts here on these buttons. It doesn't quite match up with the other fonts and buttons in the UI. For example, these are square, but then all the buttons that you see in the UI, like for the LCARs, are rounded. So it kind of seems a little different there, but I'm going to look at that when we get in game. Then the summary page, captain name, your name, ship name, engage. Maybe a 3-step process to get into the game, definitely making it quicker for sure. Although I love spending time in the character creator because I like designing my own character. But anyway, so that's the news. This came out on March 7th, by the way, and I understand it's in the game now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut to the game now. We're going to go into the game and start a new character and go through this new character creator and take a look at it. So stay tuned. All right, hello captains, it's the Doctor again. Now we are in game. This is Star Trek Online, and as you can see, this is where you select your characters you've already created, or where you can choose a new character to create. And simply this button up here, it looks unchanged. We've got all the faction labels on it: Starfleet, Klingon, Romulan, what is that one? TOS, I guess, Dominion, and then the new Discovery one, DSC they call it. So we've got all the faction types there, but let's do this. Let's create a new character and go through this new character creation process. So it looks like the very first thing that pops up is where you choose your faction. I'm guessing this is the default order of it. You have Discovery Starfleet, Dominion, TOS Starfleet, Romulan Republic, Klingon Defense Force, and Starfleet. Now, if it were me, I would rearrange this. I would put Starfleet and Klingons at the top. And the reason why is because these two are full factions, right? Starfleet and Klingon are full factions. And we know, because of course we've played this for years, the Romulan Republic is not a full faction in the same sense as the Klingon and Starfleet. You have to choose a faction to join when you play the Romulan faction. And that's different from the Klingon and Starfleet. And then in the TOS Starfleet, it's the same way. You have this little introduction. There's like just a few TOS missions, but then you're thrust into the future and you're just playing the Starfleet faction. And then the Dominion, it's different also. It starts you out, it's way different than any of the others actually. It's the most different because it starts you out at like 5 levels from max level. So it is an in-game character. It starts you with a fully loaded ship. It starts you with a fully loaded character and bridge officers. So it's way different than any of these others. And then the Discovery Starfleet is sort of like the Romulan and TOS one. You start out and play just, actually it's shorter than the Romulan and TOS one. You play just like a couple of missions. It literally has like 2 or 3 missions that you play, and then you're just playing the Starfleet faction again. So I wish they would separate these. Actually, they need to make them, at least 2 different categories. They need to make like what they say, you know, longer, and so that people will want to play them. Just label it like this. Label it, say like longer faction, and put Klingon and Starfleet, and then put not shorter. I guess longer and shorter is not a good term. I don't know, some kind of descriptor. They need some kind of descriptor to separate them, because people need to know that the Klingon and Starfleet faction is very different from the time you'll spend in a Romulan Republic, which you have to join a faction, the TOS faction, the Discovery faction, and then the Dominion is just way different than all of them. And if I look through the options here, see, it doesn't tell you. It just says, formed by the elusive founders, blah, 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 shape-shifting founders, located somewhere, Vorda, as a genetically engineered Jem'Hadar soldier, you will fight outside the threats and keep watch over member worlds. This does not tell you. There is nothing on the screen that tells you that you're going to start out at a level 60 character. I believe it starts out at level 60. It's not telling you that. It's not telling you you're going to get a full starship with all the gear already on it. It's not telling you you're going to get a fully blown out character. It's not telling you any of that. And it needs to. Because people are going to assume when they're brand new playing the game that all these factions are equal length, that they're equal. But they're not. They play so differently. And there's no descriptor here to tell us how they're different from each other and what you actually get with each one. Like it should say, under the Romulan Republic, it should say at level blah blah blah, a choice will be made. Either join the Starfleet or the Klingon Defense Force faction. And then the TOS one says this will play for 10 missions, and then you will join the Starfleet faction. And then this one should say this will start you out at level 60 with a ship complement. That's full bridge officers, gear, and everything. And then this one should say Discovery Starfleet. You play a few missions, and then you will join the Starfleet faction. Like, we need that descriptor there. People need to know what they're getting into when they start these factions. And that's what's not here. That's what's missing. If you're going to make a new UI, make it so that people understand what you're getting into. That's my main beef right here on this first screen. Otherwise, I like the simplicity of how they have this laid out. Just choose your faction and go on to the next option. That's pretty cool. All right, I like that. Just give us a descriptor and let us know what we're getting into before we start that faction. People need to know that. And then maybe have two columns here. Have one column that has just Klingon and Starfleet. So that way you know that the Dominion, the TOS, and the Romulan and the Discovery ones are different than the Klingon and Starfleet ones. They're different in a way. They're like sub-factions. Actually, that's a good way to think of it. Call them sub-factions. Say, choose your faction, and then have Klingon and Starfleet, right? And then have another column right here in the middle, or some right beside this, that says choose a sub-faction. So that if you don't want to play the main factions, which are Klingon and Starfleet, you have a sub-faction. You have the Discovery, TOS, Romulan, or Dominion. And each of those is different because they're not a full faction. That's the way to do it. Faction and sub-faction. I just fixed their problem. Cryptic, if you're listening, do that. Do what I just said. And then I'll take reimbursements. Yeah, that's what I would do, honestly. Because I like the simplicity of just choose your faction. This is nice and all. But we need to know what we're getting into. We need to know. And yes, I know I'm hitting on this really hard, and y'all are probably very annoyed that I keep going on and on and on about it. But it's important, right? It's the first screen of the character creator. And if you are new to the game, you have no idea what is ahead of you on these factions. But we know, playing them, that they are all not equal. They are all not equal. The Klingon and Starfleet, they're close to equal. But the Romulan Republic, very different. You have to join the Klingon or Starfleet faction anyway. The TOS Starfleet one, very different. You end up joining the Starfleet faction anyway. Discovery Starfleet, same way as the TOS. You end up joining the Starfleet faction anyway. And then Dominion is just the most different out of all of them because it starts you out at endgame, where all of these start you out at level like 1. The Dominion starts you out at level 60. There is no indication of that here, that it's going to start you out at 60. Let's go to the next screen. Okay. We get to choose our species. Under the Jem'Hadar, we've got Jem'Hadar and Jem'Hadar Vanguard, because I have the pack that has both of those options. So that's cool. So choose your species. Let's look at the other species. If we just Discovery Starfleet, we've got human, Vulcan, and alien. So not a whole lot of alien species. Well, you got alien, but not a whole lot of other species on the Discovery. Kind of, again, another hint that it's just not the same. TOS Starfleet, what do we have? 23rd century human, 23rd century Andorian, Tellarite, and Vulcan. And then let's go to the Romulan Republic. Got Romulan, Riemann, Liberated Borg Romulan, and Alien. And then Klingon Defense Force, and this shows you how much different the Klingon and Starfleet one is. Look at all the options you have in your Klingon. You got Klingon, Cardassian, Gorn, Join Trill, Lethian, Liberated Borg, Nausicaan, Orion, Talaxian, Alien. So just a whole, that just shows you how much fuller that the Klingon and Starfleet factions are. Human, Andorian, Bajoran, Benzite, Beta Z, Bolian, Cardassian, Ferengi, Join Trio, Liberated Borg Human, Pakled, Rigelian, Saurian, Talaxian, Tellarite, Trill, Vulcan, Alien. So, I mean, the Starfleet one is the most packed in terms of alien choices. But that just shows you the difference, because the Klingon and Starfleet gives you so many different aliens to play as, whereas these others are just so few. And it really shows how different the Klingon and Starfleet faction are. So it really irks me and bugs me that there's no no way to know here what those differences are. So I like this screen though. Choose your species, and then you get to choose male or female. That's simple as it could be. I mean, that's just nice. That's really nice. And I guess on ones that don't have genders, they just don't have a gender option. Yeah, under Jem'Hadar, there's no gender option because there's just all male Jem'Hadar. So that works out well. So it's probably the same, you know, for every faction. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I like that. 2 simple screens, and you're moving along, creating your character. I like the layout of the UI. I like the button look here. I like everything, except for that descriptor. So that's nice. All right, let's look at the next screen. Choose your career. So now you choose your career. So this is the 3rd screen so far we've had to come to, but pretty simple. It's just next, next, next. We got Starfleet Engineer, Starfleet Science, and Starfleet Tactical. And of course it lets you know which one. And I believe that that's the same for no matter what you are. Like even if you're Dominion, you're still one of those. You're an Engineer, a Science, or a Tactical. So that's going to be the same for everything. So 3 pages in, and we get to choose our career. So I like that. That's nice. Alright, next page. This will be the 4th page. And this is where it takes us to our appearance finally. So the 4th page is the appearance. Very large buttons, I'm noticing. Very large UI, easy to look at. I'm imagining it maybe is very helpful for the console people. Very large buttons and all that to look at. So you have presets. So this makes it easy just to get in the game really fast if you just want to like take a preset. These are pre-made by Cryptic or by the UI creator here, whoever. And this would just allow you to get into the game really quickly. You could choose one of these presets and just look like that, you know, going into the game. But, oh, you can also still select gender here. So you're going to lose your changes, but you can go ahead and change your gender right from this screen too if you didn't like it. And then again, presets here. So that's nice. Again, choose our gender. Same presets. And then we've got head, body, and uniform now. Let's look at those. So let's say we didn't like our head choice in the presets. You basically keep the same facial features, but just change the head. Which also seems to change the hair, too. So I guess really head just means hair. They might rename that, because the head looks the same in all of these. It's just the hair changing. So yeah, I would change this to maybe hair, because that's all that's changing here. We're not changing anything else except hair. As you can see when I hover over each one, just the hair is changing, nothing else. So head is a bit of a misnomer. Oh, I see. It says hair up here. Okay. Now I get it. As you click one of these buttons here, then you have different options up here. Okay. So that makes sense. This is labeled hair. So you're going to get that. And then if I click coloring, I can change the color. I can change my skin color, my eye color, and my hair color. Okay. Okay. Well, that's real simple and easy to understand then. I like that. And then if I want to go to advanced, there's all my advanced options. They're still there. They're just now under an advanced option. But I don't have to do that. I can just do simple hair and the coloring and be done with it. Or I can go really detailed. And in order to get like the special helmets and hats and stuff, you still would have to click advanced. So if you have like any of the packs purchased, you will still have to go to advanced to enable those special helmets and stuff. Like your eye attachments and stuff like that. Like I have the Intel glasses. If I wanted that, I definitely have to go to advanced to apply that here. Of course, all this can be done in the Tailor UI as well. And then there's all the hair choices. And then here's where I can really customize, you know, everything in detail, in great detail actually. There's a lot of detail here. You can really customize the look of a character. And it looks like the eyes and the nose and the mouth are all under head. But yeah, you can really change a lot of things here. So all these options are still here. I'm glad they didn't take them away from us, because that's one of the things that has made the character creator in this game pretty cool, is the amount of detail that you can put into creating your character. You can really, really customize it a lot. So I'm glad they did not take away the advanced options. But you definitely have to come to advanced to enable the things like special helmets and stuff like that. So that's cool. And then under body, we have basic. So if you just want to like change your stance and your height, 2 basic options, or advanced. Again, all of our advanced options are still there. Torso scaling, arms, hands, legs, and feet. Tons of options to really change everything. Let's make his neck really big, you know. I mean, you can really do a lot here. Look at that. You make him look really alien. Trying to make him like real skinny and tall. Isn't that cool? So you can do like really weird stuff like that. Long arms, no arm bulk. No upper arm bulk, no lower arm bulk. Very lengthy character here. Big hands. Yep. That's kind of cool. Now I'm just having fun playing the game. So there you go. Just kind of shows you what you can do here. Take his size to the max. That's a very alien creature right there. So that's kind of cool how you can still customize everything, but then there's also this basic button, which just allows you to do the basic stuff. Then we come to the uniform, and there are presets. So the presets are going to be different for every faction, obviously. This is the Starfleet faction I'm on. So I've got that preset. Now these are what a few I've unlocked. But the ones that they have by default is this one, which is the Discovery. Not Discovery. Is it Discovery? What is it called? I actually forgot what that's called. I think it's called. It might be just called Discovery, actually. But we've got these different uniforms here, so you can just use a preset if you just want to quickly get into the game. So that's nice. That's nice. Just lets you quickly get into the game. But then you have advanced still, so you can go to your jacket loose, jacket tight. It's the Odyssey uniform, not Discovery. Duh. So everything looks pretty much the same here. You just have all your different options laid out easier. I also noticed the color buttons are underneath the options. I like that better. They used to be to the right. All your color options used to be to the right of the button. I guess I like them underneath. It's different anyway. Kind of makes it more compact, makes the UI more compact. Okay, so that's pretty cool as far as appearance goes. Let's look at the appearance of some other factions just really quick, just to compare the differences. So like, let's say Dominion, which should probably have the least amount of options. If I go to Jem'Hadar, I've got different presets on facial looks. And if we go to head, they have no hair options. Well, no, they do have hair options. Oh, okay. Very slight hair options. But there are hair options even on the Jem'Hadar. The coloring. Of course, like things like hair color, you're going to have limited options on like the Jem'Hadar, because that's just, they just have limited options. And then your advanced options are also going to be limited also to that faction. But it's nice that all those there. Ooh, basic. Here we go. Stance, height, body, and then uniform. The 2 presets there, or this one's unlocked because I own that. And then the options for that faction. And again, all the color buttons are now underneath the drop-down box. Well, I like this because what that means is it's really simple to create a character. Oops. You would just do about, like, I guess 4 or 5 menus. Let's see how many it takes to get in there. Starfleet. Next. Choose our species. Choose our gender. Next. That's 3. Come in, choose our character creation menu. 4 to get to the appearance. Now, I did say this at the beginning of the video. I think these buttons here and this font look a little off compared to the rest of the LCARS UI. They're square, they're not rounded, and a lot of the UI in the LCARS is rounded buttons, and the font is very different from like the font that's used everywhere else. Like when you look at these fonts here, it's a different font. It's bigger and it's just different. It's more spread out. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a different font and it's not a rounded button, so it kind of looks strange. Like buttons like these you see are rounded, unless it's a drop down box which is rectangle, but even that has a rounded end on it for the LCARS. And then these buttons like here, reset, random, all that, are rounded. These should probably also be rounded. Just make it look a little more in tune with the rest of the LCARS, in my opinion, and the font also. It's just very big. It just reads big. I guess it makes it easy to see for sure, but it just doesn't feel like the rest of the LCARS. But other than the buttons and the font, I believe the UI being more compact like this definitely looks good. And then putting the color options under the drop-down box looks good. So let's just pick a preset and click next. And then here we are. We're right to our summary page. So 5 pages in, get to choose a captain's name. You can just do random and random. Hit engage and go. So it takes five pages to get in. Let's count that just to make sure. Well, let's count the clicks. Let's count the clicks it takes to get in. The quickest way that we can get in. 1 click. 2 click. Alright, let's do that again. 1 click. And then 2 clicks. And then you still have to click next. Maybe another click. Next. 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 And then engage. So actually you can get in like less than 5 seconds. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. You can just click, click, click and get in the game in about 5 seconds if you really wanted to. That's nice. Very quick to get in if you just want to get in and create a new character. But then all the advanced options are still there if you want to spend your time in the character creator and like really do something special. So let's conclude all of this. I like the compactness of the UI. I like the way it's laid out. I think some of the buttons and fonts need to be changed, especially on this screen here where you do your appearance. I think these buttons don't match. Like, even this, see this font here on these buttons? It's not the same. So it looks odd. It looks out, kind of almost amateurish in a way. It looks out of place. So I would just change that, the font and those buttons. But everything else I like about the UI, I really do. And then the other major change I would make is to the faction menu here. I've just got a problem with not properly labeling what you're going to get out of each faction. They need to let you know up front what you're going to get. I know I'm harping on this big time, but it is a big problem I have. Because as a new player, I would come in and think I'm getting the same experience with each faction. But no, I'm not. Because Starfleet, Klingon, Romulan, and Discovery all start at level 1. Dominion starts at level 60. So, a totally different experience. None of these factions give you anything starting out. The Dominion one, you start out with a fully loaded ship and character complement and everything. You wouldn't know that, though, starting off here. You just wouldn't know it because there's no description here telling you that that's what you're going to get. So I think that's a bit misleading. Misleading is the term. And then also the same way with the other factions besides Dominion. The Discovery, the TOS, and the Romulan, any way you want to spin it, these are half factions. End of story. They are not like the Starfleet and the Klingon faction. Because with each one, you end up joining the Klingon or the Starfleet faction. In fact, two of them, you're forced into joining Starfleet. With Romulan, at least you get to decide. But the point is you still have to join with a faction, Klingon or Starfleet. Whereas Klingon and Starfleet factions are just that throughout your beginning to end. You don't have to join with a different faction. So the Romulan, it's better than the TOS and Discovery one, because at least you get to choose the faction you want to join. But the TOS and Discovery, they're even lesser than the Romulan one, because you really only have a few missions, and then you're forced into the Starfleet faction, and you might as well be playing a Starfleet faction character at that point. You just might as well. Some of the sounds are different, and that's about it. There's just no difference in the storyline other than those first beginning missions with that faction. And there's not a lot of them. The Discovery one literally has 2 or 3 missions. I mean, it's so small and so short. It's just almost not even worth it. So, yeah, there's some differences here. And the fact that they're not labeled properly to let you know what those differences are or categorized differently is a problem for me. I think it should say choose faction and have Klingon and Starfleet, and then right beside it say choose sub-faction and then have the Discovery, Dominion, TOS, and Romulan under that one. And then when you click on each one, it needs to say this level, warning, this faction starts out at level 60. They need to let us know that. That's my biggest beef with all of this. So I like the UI changes, great, but they need to describe it, some of the things here better, the factions, and all of that. But I was not looking forward to a character creation UI changed. I didn't know that was coming. I don't think anybody did. Kind of a surprise, just happened. And he was talking about in the news page about doing other UI updates to the game. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. My only thing I would say to him is please keep the fonts and the shape of the buttons the same as the rest of the LCARs. You absolutely have to. That way it will feel like a coherent UI. If the buttons have different fonts that just kind of really stand out like that, and the buttons, aren't like rounded or don't match the other LCARs buttons, it's going to look way different. So just keep consistent with the LCARs theme, because we like LCARs. That's Star Trek. And I like the way that each faction is color-coded. Got a different color-coded LCARs. That is so cool. Keep all that. And keep LCARs. But keep it consistent. And we will love it if you do that. And then describe things a little bit better. So that way you know what you're getting into when you create each faction. That's all I'm saying. But I look forward to your other UI changes in the future if you decide to make them. And making things, a bit easier for newer players is fine, as long as we continue to have the advanced options that we all definitely want there. And so far you've done that here in the character creation menu, so I applaud that. Thank you. Thank you for keeping those advanced options. Okay, well, everybody, that's the new character creation screen here in Star Trek Online. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it terrible? Is it everything you've always wanted? What changes would you make, or would you just keep it the same? I look forward to hearing your feedback on the character creation UI. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.